Today we've got a 2011 Ford Transit. It's fitted with the 2.2 diesel engine and got only 45,000 miles on the clock. Today we're going to be looking at the front brakes. I'm told it needs brake pads, so we'll start by opening the bonnet, and I'm going to take the cap off the reservoir because if we do brakes, when you push the pistons back in, it forces the brake fluid back up the pipes and into the reservoir. It looks down a bit, so hopefully it won't overflow, but I will put some blue roll around here just to catch any drips should it come out. Main thing with brake fluid, if you do spill any, make sure you clean it up with a soft cloth and some water. So here we've got a breaker bar for loosening the wheel nuts rather, and a 21mm socket. I've also got the half-inch drive ratchet with a 15mm socket for undoing the caliper bolts. I've got a 15mm spanner there as well. Just a knife for doing all the packaging. A 21mm spanner for holding the slider still while you're undoing the 15mm bolts. You could probably get away with, I don't know, a screwdriver maybe to stop it spinning, or a pair of grips. I've got a big pair of grips here for pushing back the pistons in the calipers. You could get away with using a screwdriver or a G-clamp. Yeah, file and a wire brush there for cleaning up the caliper carrier, and a screwdriver as well just for levering bits and pieces out of the way. Also got my gun, but not everybody has one of those. You can just use a breaker bar, and some copper grease to go on the ears of the brake pads. Right, before take it up on a ramp or jack it up, good idea to crack the wheel nuts loose. So I've got a 21mm socket here and a breaker bar. Hopefully they won't be too tight. Right, I'm going to be doing exactly the same process on the other side, but we won't record that because it will be identical to this side. This Transit, as you can see, is bordering too big for the workshop, so I'm not going to risk putting it up on the ramp. I wouldn't be able to take it up very high anyway, so we've kind of jacked it up and got it on stands, which means unfortunately I'm going to be scrabbling around on the floor. Right, I've turned the steering round on lock. It's just a bit easier to see what we're looking at. In the middle you can see the brake disc here. I'll turn that, and you can see the metal backing of the pad there, and between the metal backing and the disc is what's left of the lining. And you can see that's getting pretty low there. There's only a couple of millimetres left. The discs themselves, I can feel they've got a little bit of a lip on them. They're not too bad. So we're going to go ahead and undo the caliper next and get the pads out. So this caliper, as you can see, it's held on with two 15mm bolts here, and you've got the sliders here, which you can use a 21mm spanner to stop them turning. Also we've got a wear indicator. It's a little bit stretched. I think maybe that should be bent over a bit. That's better. But I'll disconnect that now. if I can. It looks like the tab's broken off. Oh no, there it is. So all I've done there is that little plastic bit there, pulled it towards me, which releases it off of the barb, and then you can slide the whole thing off. You've got a little button to press in there to release the plug. I'm pretty sure you can get away with just undoing one bolt on these calipers. Let's give it a go. That wasn't too tight. As you can see, the slider starts spinning as well. So I'm going to get a screwdriver now, because we're going to need to push the pistons in a little bit and lift that caliper up. I'll do if I hook this on the side of the disc, hopefully I can lever the caliper across, which will in turn push the pistons in. This is where you might get a bit of brake fluid come out of the reservoir. That's a bit easier. There you go, one brake pad. Oh, it's just started skimming on the wear sensor. All that is it's a 2-pin plug, so you've just got the wire going down, round in a loop, then back to the other pin. As soon as that starts rubbing on the disc, it breaks the circuit and pops a warning light on, so it's not far off wearing through there. So that's the pads out. Something else to check, make sure these sliders are free. Sometimes they can seize, give the impression of a seized caliper. I'll go and grab the new brake pads and we'll compare them with the old ones. Right, I've got the brake pads here. As with most things, prices do vary quite a bit. You can see you've got one pair here that have got the wear sensor attached. Looks like they've got 2 wear sensors in there. Yeah, that one's got the wear sensor attached, so that will go on the inside. And this one also has a wear sensor attached. I'm pretty sure only one side has a sensor, so I'm going to use this one actually because it's at the top. That will reach the plug a bit easier. These two will just be plain pads with no sensors. It's yeah, as you can imagine with all parts, depending on what brand you go for, the prices can vary quite a bit. This is just like a budget brand of brake pads that you should be able to pick up for around about £25. So as I've said, it comes with the sensors, also comes with 2 new bolts, because we're only removing one on each side. Next thing to do would be to get some grips or a G-clamp or whatever you've got and push these pistons right in. There is a proper wind back tool for them, but you know, these are just as effective. That's it. I'll get a wire brush and give these this caliper carrier a little clean up next. Right, as you can see, the brake pads sit in these little shims. You've got 4 of them. I'm going to start by just giving these a bit of a dust off. Yeah, at the beginning I said this has only done 45,000 miles, which is almost unheard of. A Transit, 2011, that kind of mileage. But in fact it's spent most of its life on an industrial estate before it was even MOT'd. I don't think it was MOT'd until it was 7 or 8 years old. So although it looks a little bit beaten up, like most of them do, it's actually not a bad van. Grab a screwdriver, should be able to ping these off. Yeah. I just want to have a little scrape around underneath where they fix, because that can rust. I've got an old file here, not looking to take any thickness off the metal. I just find it quite good for getting the surface rust up. It's normally the bottom ones, as you can imagine, would suffer because that's where the water tends to sit. Just if you don't do it, sometimes the brake pads are a little bit tight to fit back in and they can stick, which again gives the impression of a sticking caliper, seized caliper. Just give them a quick dust off. Yeah, these don't look too bad. It's got a little tiny stop on there and one on that side, so in theory it should sit in the middle. That's it. We'll grab the brake pads and we'll get them ready to go in. So you can see there just how much has worn away on the old pad. Like I say, I've still got a little bit left, but it was just about to ping the warning light on. In fact, that sensor there, you can see the small black wire that comes up round in a loop. Always worth checking just to make sure there's no direction of rotation arrow on the brake pad. I've seen that occasionally. And sometimes you find that one side's chamfered and the other side isn't. But these can go in either side really. But I'm going to use this one here, like I said, because the sensor's at the top. Good idea to put a bit of copper grease on the ear to hopefully prevent it from sticking in that little shim. Yeah, nice fit. Now they're back in, we can lower this down. Make sure you push that slider in. That's it. Hopefully the wire isn't trapped. Right, there we go. Let's plug that in, get that out of the way. That's it. Nice positive click. Put one of our new bolts in there. So make sure that's nipped up. I'll double check this one up here as well. No, I won't. I shall get a spanner and check that one. As with all nuts and bolts, mechanical fixings, you will find a tightening torque for them. But as long as you're sensible and don't go too mad, nip it up, should be fine. It's probably a little bit overkill with a 1/2 inch drive, but I like to have the bigger stuff for undoing, which makes it a bit easier. That's it. We'll just get the wheel back on now. Right, we'll get that on the ground and double check the wheel nuts by hand. Right, now it's on the ground, handbrake on. I'm just going to make sure these wheel nuts are nipped up. That one's loose. Yeah, good. And the final checks, we'll go around under the bonnet, because we need to make sure that no brake fluids come out, clean it up if it has. Right, before I deal with the level of that fluid, one of the most important parts of the job, make sure you pump the brake pedal, because the first few times you press the pedal it will go to the floor. You don't really want to be driving off and then put your foot on the brake, nothing happens. Also, that might lower the level slightly. Yeah, it's not quite up to the maximum, so I'll give that a little dribble of fluid in there. None's come out, as you can see. Oh, that was literally it, just a little tiny bit. But yeah, that, as I was saying earlier, that makes a brilliant paint stripper, so if you do get it on any bodywork, make sure you've got some clean water and soft cloth to clean it up. All that's left to do now is, as I do with most of my jobs, give it a run around the road and make sure everything's working as it should be.